begin transmission. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Outer Rim Transmission, episode number 25. On this week's episode, we'll break down the latest for the Mandalorian winning 7 technical Emmys. We'll also be talking about and previewing the Star Wars Visions anime series that is upcoming. And we're going to talk about a lot of things, ranging from video games to news with voice actors and whatnot, all on this week's show. It's going to be just me and Ben this week. So first off, how you doing, Ben?
Good. Just another week. It's been beautiful out, so I've been enjoying the nice outdoors, and also, of course, playing some Madden. So, just the normal type of thing this week, and babysitting the niece. So it's been fun.
Oh yeah, have you had to change any diapers or anything?
Nah, that's not my job. That's my dad's job. He's the grandpa.
Yeah, it's not me either, man.
I'm
So,
I'm good.
oh man, but yeah, I know I'm gonna get some time off this upcoming week from my jobs, and I'm gonna be able to just relax for a couple days as we wind down summer. But September has some of the nicer weather out of all the year. It's more mild, especially on the East Coast here, and there's still
Oh,
some good beach days ahead. So I'm gonna enjoy my couple days. If you guys don't hear me on Twitter saying a lot of stuff, you know where I'm at, probably. But we're gonna get into it for our week in Star Wars. Do you have anything of note this week, Ben?
nothing too crazy. I mean, for me, mainly it's just reading. It's always fun reading the different like fan speculation online and rumors and different things like that. That's just always a lot of fun, just checking out what people are speculating about. I feel like that's something a couple years ago, after a certain movie in the sequel trilogy got released, it felt like fan speculation and stuff almost got crushed because it was like, it was getting almost frowned upon, like that fans should speculate. And for me, I feel like we're finally at a point now where fans are getting more and more comfortable, like speculating and, like debating and things like that now. Now Star Wars is getting to where it's like a lot more fun, I think, to talk about. And, that's all, in my opinion, due to The Mandalorian and its success. And then, of course, Bad Batch, and then us leading into Visions and Book of Boba. Book of Boba, of course, is like the flagship thing for speculation at the moment. So, you have all of these things, and they're like positive properties to speculate about, and it's such a nice, like, refreshing feeling than where we were at just a couple years ago. So it's nice that, like, the Star Wars fandom, I feel like, in general, not to turn this thing to like a toxic tone or anything, but like a couple years ago, the Star Wars fandom got very negative online. Like, there was a lot of negative talk. Comment sections were negative. I'm sure Chris. I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter, and
Yeah.
plenty of other people have seen it on Twitter. But like, I think we've gotten to a point now where it seems like the a lot of the Star Wars talk is mainly positive online. Like, the debates are mainly positive based, which is a nice, like, a direction shift, in my opinion. So that was kind of my week in Star Wars. It's just nice seeing, like, positivity in the community.
Oh yeah, if you want a really positive corner of the Star Wars universe, just search up the High Republic Twitter verse, whatever. Like there's a
Yep.
tight knit community of very outgoing fans that are very much speaking with the authors. Kevin Scott, Charles Soule, Justina Ireland. You have Christina from the High Republic show. All these people having really positive talks, and we had the High
Yep.
Republic show came out this week, revealed a few things that I'll talk about in a little bit, but like they actually took the time to say, like, hey, this is nice to have the community that they have, specifically in this little subset of the Star Wars fan community. But yeah, you are absolutely right, because it has been very kind of quiet on the front of like people like yelling at each other over the internet, and it is thanks to due to a lot of things like the Bad Batch, a lot of things like the Mandalorian, which have been pretty much regarded without much controversy, and a lot of positive remarks, both critically and the way that the public is receiving all those properties is just it's been nice, and it has been a breath of fresh air, as we've many times just had the discourse just like in our faces all the time, just scrolling through our feeds. It's nice that it's finally getting to this point. Book of Boba, I feel like we're gonna get another wave of just the good vibes coming from the community, and this is what we needed. This is really something that is what the community needed because it's just not fun when you go online. It just you kind of get it's kind of like a downer. Like you see these people like, why can't we all just get along and love this thing called Star Wars? You know?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like, I mean, there are plenty of our, favorite movie reviewer YouTubers that we follow for quite a long time. Like I know John Campea, he's a really big movie reviewer,
Hmm.
but he basically stopped talking about Star Wars because he got burnt out on his comment sections just being filled with just crazy stuff all the time versus just actual talk about Star Wars. So like stuff like that, it just shows, the Star Wars community. I feel like that's something as well to keep in mind. If you're a listener or viewing this afterwards or viewing it live, like the Star Wars community has an impact on the overall like bigger movie people or just the franchise in general. Like, if everyone's letting out a negative vibe, there will be a negative vibe in the community. But like for the most part, like you said, it's been quiet on the negative or grouchy side. And for the most part, it's been positive. Like even with the Bad Batch, for example, we had our critiques of it. I mean, to say the least. But the thing is, the critiques and the talk around the show itself were all related to the show. Like, you know, we always use, or I always use sports analogies. A good sports analogy for that is like, we're talking about on the field stuff. Like what happened in the show is what we're critiquing. We're not talking about all the off the field drama behind the scenes or this or that or the other thing. Like all the stuff that was getting talked about with the Bad Batch is the Bad Batch. Like it wasn't, oh, this director said this actor said this blah, 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 blah. Like none of that really surfaced whatsoever. So I feel like we're heading in a really positive direction. And, like I said, it just feels like that's where Star Wars is at right now. And I think Visions is going to push that forward even more just because it's such a unique property. I feel like it's going to be, it'll, I feel like it's a good opening point for the Star Wars fandom, whether they like it or not, because the good thing is with Visions being so unique, even if someone doesn't like it, the good thing is the discussion will most likely be around just the content of it. Because, we haven't heard any controversies or anything like that related to Star Wars Visions whatsoever. So if there is any like not positive stuff, it'll be just related to the content, which is totally fine to have, an opinion, you not liking something. So, that's a really big positive point that, we're heading in a direction where we're getting critiques, both good and bad, on the field versus like off the field type of critiques.
Yeah. So yeah, Star Wars Visions. That should have been my first answer, right? That's out next week. We're previewing it tonight.
Yep.
That is something that I feel like is gonna really bring in, not just the fan community together, but a whole batch of new fans. A lot of new fans are probably gonna come in like, oh, Star Wars has some pretty good storytelling. Oh, they could tell us in a Japanese animated format. Let's look at more of the newer stuff they've done. So yeah, so we're always welcoming in new communities when it comes to Star Wars. So let's just keep it civil. Let's just keep it fun, and no drama. That's all we want. That's all we want.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
exactly.
so we're gonna get to my part of the week for Star Wars. The first part, um, I guess it's not super positive. I finished I finished the Rogue Squadron audiobook. And
Uh-oh.
while I really enjoyed the production value as far as like Mark Thompson's doing the voices, like he's some of his stuff is just unrecognizable. Like I was telling you guys, like there's got to be more than one voice actor on this because this is absolutely incredible. Like the way he does Admiral Akbar sounds spot on. Like and he's speaking as different genders and everything like that, and it's like coming across very genuine. Like so really good stuff there. The production value of the music intertwined with like the combat sounds of X-wings and TIE fighters is really cool. The overall story is cool, but or like the overall plot, but I just couldn't really connect with the story as much. It is a Legends book, and it was hard for me to get through because it's like now we're in this area where we're dealing with stuff that has already been talked about in canon. We're talking about stuff that didn't happen in canon with like they're talking about like the Clone Wars and all this stuff that taken out of context. It was kind of like screwing with my brain a little bit. Like it was hard for me to like keep things separate. Like no, they're talking about the Clone Wars, but the Clone Wars before George Lucas even wrote them down. So they're talking about a different kind of Clone Wars, and they're talking about Jedi here, and then everything else. But that's very minute kind of stuff. But like the larger picture, I just feel like it was a too busy. There was too many characters. There was too much going on. And partly like as audiobook, like usually I can focus, but for this one, I don't know what it was with the flow of the book. I just couldn't connect with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. Oh no, I was saying, yeah, that's understandable. When it comes to an audiobook, like for that, if it gets too busy, you're listening to it versus reading it, like on a book, that can definitely like affect, that is one downside I can say. Me and Milton are always like big proponents of audiobooks on here, but that is a like a consumer warning when it comes to audiobooks. Certain audiobooks, potentially based on whatever content is in them, may be better suited to be read. Like even like if there was a Harry Potter audiobook, I feel like those books would be very busy. Like those type of audiobooks would be very, very busy. So like I can totally see where you're coming from with that on Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, and what it is Michael Stackpole, great writer. Honestly, really cool stuff he put in the book. But I think he gets too much into the weeds when it comes to starship maneuvers and techno jargon and things that were just going over my head, like the way he was describing some of the battles. I'm like, I couldn't like keep up. You know what I mean? I was just like, he's talking about this thingamabob, then this going down, and then I'm like sitting there like trying to close my eyes, like where's the ship at in space? Just tell me. It's like just point out because right now I'm just like this guy comes out of nowhere, then this guy has an accent that sounds exactly like this guy having like an accent from this certain place. Like so, yeah. Unfortunately, I couldn't enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed Shatterpoint, which I thought was really good. A very close, tight knit story about Mace Windu on this planet that he was his home planet originally from. So I definitely recommend that. Rogue Squadron, can't really give it my recommendation, at least for the audio book, because I feel like unless you are doing nothing but sitting down and listening to this thing in your chair, probably should have done that because I've done that with most of them. But I tried to multitask a little bit, and so I can't say it's really a fault of Michael Stackpole either. It's just maybe the way I experienced this audiobook was drastically a little bit more different than the other one. This one required more of my attention than maybe some of the other ones. Not discrediting those ones either. Just I don't know. It just
Yeah.
didn't. Maybe one day I'll go back and I'll try to re-listen to it or something, and when I'm not so busy. But that those were my impressions of Rogue Squadron right there. But that wasn't the only thing that I have to share today for my week in Star Wars. Yeah, let's see how this is gonna work. So, I got another lightsaber.
Oh wow, dang.
So, yeah, this is my lightsaber that I'm gonna use on my cosplay for New York Comic Con coming up in a couple weeks here. I got like
Dang, that's nice.
a real low quality one I found off Amazon. I think it's called like uh, YDDA or Yoda saber or something. It was, I mean, it's supposedly a stunt lightsaber, but I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just picking it out because it was something that was just a red lightsaber and it looked like something better I could pick up in Kmart for $30. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so $80. You can mute the sound too, which I will probably do to save batteries. They say it's about 30 to 50 minutes on a battery life. It's rechargeable. There are no batteries in it. I do like the hilt though. The more I look at the hilt, the more it kind of reminds me of like a High Republic hilt. So I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool. It's got like more of that sleek kind of silver vibe from the High Republic. Um,
Yeah, that is really neat.
yeah. So basically with New York Comic Con this year, um, I think, well, first off, the I should probably talk into the mic when I'm actually doing a podcast. The only Star Wars related panel they have is actually a really interesting one. Speaking of Bad Batch, D. Bradley Baker is going to have a panel.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's gonna have a panel. He's also doing, I think, like autographs or photo ops or something. So he's gonna literally be talking, hopefully, in all his different voices he has done for the clones. Maybe they'll have a Q and A. They usually do at these panels. So that's really cool. Yeah, they usually have a Lucasfilm publishing panel, but like if you look at the list, it kind of is unfortunate because like literally all the big players of Comic Con have pulled out this year. There's no Sideshow, there's no Marvel, no DC, no Image, no Dark Horse. Like the list goes on. It's kind of sad, but I'm taking it as a good thing that hey, maybe this is going to go back to the old ways of Comic Con before it was like the big third party publishers coming in. So basically, also with the cosplay, it's going to be a little different this year because you have to wear a mask. So that's required. So that means like all the cosplays I would normally probably do are out of it. So I'd rather not wear a mask for a cosplay where it doesn't belong. So I'm bringing back my old school before pandemic when I wore a mask with this one Sith costume or dark side costume. So I got that. So that's why I wanted to pick up the blade to have a little bit more street cred. And I'm
Nice.
also gonna do a like maybe like some kind of like red hand ninja um type of cosplay as well, since hey, ninjas wear a mask anyway. So I
Yeah,
wanted to
hey,
get into
there you go.
funds. I wanted to get into fun somehow, but still like make it not look like a weird ass costume just with a random mask on top of what I normally wear. So that's my story. So yeah, you guys could I'll probably cover it somehow. I don't know to what extent the Comic Con, since there's not going to be a whole lot of stuff there. Um, but we shall see. At least there's there's something this year rather than nothing. So that's the second weekend of October. So expect some stuff out of that. Maybe, I mean, it's not too late. Maybe they will announce a random panel, or maybe I'll show up and they'll have a replica of Slave One for Book of Boba Fett. That's not out of the question. One
Yeah.
time they actually had that the Last Jedi big promotional booth where it had like all these costumes laid out from the Last Jedi like 3 months before it came out, and it was so cool. I was like in my glory. I was like, holy crap, this is the first Comic Con where like Lucasfilm actually like did something really cool and had stuff for us to see beforehand. So I'm not holding my breath on that, since we're still in a pandemic and a lot of these people don't want to send their people because of safety and all that kind of thing. But we shall see. I'm still gonna have fun regardless. So there you have it. For those of you, real quick business here, housekeeping business. For those of you that are listening on podcast, you could join us live on Fridays at 9 o'clock Eastern time. And if you're watching now, or if you're watching after the fact, go ahead and check us out on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, basically wherever podcasts are found, if you rather just listen to us in the car and whatnot. So getting into out this week, the first thing I'm talking about is Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. Last call. This is for the Oculus Quest 2 and I believe Oculus Quest 1 and probably Oculus Rift. It's just the whole Oculus family. So they haven't had an expansion yet. This is like really an expansion past. The first game came out with the launch of Oculus Quest 2 just about a year ago. So obviously with the pandemic, developing games is not easy at all. So we've gotten this, and what's really cool, I haven't actually completed it yet. There's actually a lot to dig into this thing. It was like, I believe, 10 extra bucks for the expansion. They have like the continuation of the actual story where you're just going around helping out different people on Batu. But then they also have a High Republic story or two. I think there might be two tales of them. And they have a tale about IG-88. And I want to talk about that because I just started playing. I just finished that little tale. It was like maybe 20 minutes or so. And oh man, is it fun. Because I think this is the first game in any Star Wars existence where you might actually play like IG-88 rather than maybe like a Lego game where you get to play as figure or something probably. Like
Yeah.
basically the idea is, okay, you're IG-88 and you go to Nar Shaddaa and you take a bounty from this girl saying her brother was captured by this guy. So you're like literally working your way up from the bottom of this tower to the top to take out this guy. And it's very straightforward. It's not going to blow your mind with like any Knights of the Old Republic, like big ass spoiler alerts or anything like that. But it just makes you feel like you're IG-88 in the best way possible because you literally feel like the Terminator. Like you regenerate health. You have both guns, dual wielding, and you will automatically kill everything, because you're a droid. So like you have a locking on thing where you just aim at somebody and you can slow down time and it just automatically does a kill shot, like one shot. So you can literally just use your arms, just fire around, fire around. You could break down doors with your hands. And it's kind of funny too because they take a page out of the Mandalorian season 1 where if you take too much damage, you actually self-destruct and then the mission ends. So I find it really funny because you could just like run in, your guy dies, but then you have to start over again anyway. But it's cool because you like feel the weight of IG-88 because you like hear him clanking down as you're walking through the hallways, and like the HUD, the overlay you're seeing is like all green, like different things. So it reminds you like you're actually a droid, but it's just really fun because you're so powerful. Just being able to like target all these guys. There's like a special ability where you just like spin around, just like shooting everything like it's out of Mandalorian, and at the end too, which is really cool, is like you find out like Vader contacts you. He's like, there's a Corellian freighter that I want you to track down. So it's like, okay, this is taking us right into the Empire Strikes Back kind of thing. So I like that. That was a lot of fun. And the best thing I can equate it to is like basically playing like laser tag, um because you're just like going in and out of like cover, just like shooting people with your guns. It just reminded me a lot of that like old school days of me as a kid going to these laser tag parks and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Honestly, like I've always liked the idea of like the VR Star Wars games like that. Just the idea of playing as IG-88, that would be really cool. I wish I could play those games though, but I'm a person who actually gets motion sickness from those. Like, I've tried those games before, and man, it about puts me down on the couch. Like, I feel so dizzy and just like, whoa, like, I don't know, I can't play those, or like even some games, even like the Batman, like the Arkham games. There's so much like moving around and like I don't know, just the mechanics of the game or whatever. It makes me motion sick, so I literally cannot even play those type of games. Like, but I just watch the gameplays like for these Star Wars VR games, like Vader Immortal. Like I watch the VR stuff on that. I just watch the YouTube videos and stuff. But actually playing it, I can't do it.
Yeah, so it's definitely a lot of fun. I can't wait to jump back in. There's definitely a lot of fun to be had as far as like just going around and finding the porgs just cracks me up because you could go around and this the actual game where they're actually putting the First Order in there. And it's just really neat because you're going around and you get jetpacks and you have different weapons you can switch out, and you're seeing the porgs and you can like help save the porgs by like slicing their cages open again and to fly out. Oh man, it's a lot of fun. Oh, the really funny part was I went to this unbeaten path and I found out that there was actually um a Kowakian monkey lizard roasting on a spit like something out of the Mandalorian. Oh man, you can like scan it to see what's going on, and it was really funny.
All right, can you hear me?
We are back, everybody.
We are back. Am I back?
Yeah.
um.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
luckily we caught that because we definitely didn't want to keep shooting the show like that because people would have been like, what's going on? But
What
anyway,
did I sound like IG-88?
you actually kind of did, which was really funny. It's like it came out of nowhere. Just we have IGD live on the show today, everybody. Woo!
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Okay, we do have a comment in a chat here. Midway
All right.
1942. Will Star Wars Visions release weekly episodes or release a full season September 22nd? So, Midway, thanks for chiming in, by the way. We are getting all 9 episodes released on Wednesday, the 22nd. So, hey, if you want to stay up till 3 a.m., if you're on the Eastern Coast like me and Ben, you could do that and you could be probably done by the time you go to work because, you gave us a report that said, what, 13 to 22 minutes. So, what is that going to
Every
be like?
yeah,
3
every
hours probably?
episode. Yeah, every episode is 13 to 22 minutes. So that's approximately whatever 13 times 9 is. So like 90 almost 2 hours, 2 hours to 3 hours probably.
That's a good amount of time. That's a good amount of time. Yeah, we'll talk more of that, but I do have some other things to run through. So now we're going to get into the comics for this week. We have Darth Vader issue number 15, which of course ties into War of the Bounty Hunters. And Well, the Darth Vader series has been kind of a disappointment as far as tying into the War of the Bounty Hunters. The last month's issue was pretty cool, but I feel like this issue is just a retread of what we've already seen in the events of War of the Bounty Hunters issue number 4. So it's basically Darth Vader getting into his TIE advance and trying to destroy Luke Skywalker in his X-wing above the Crimson Dawn party. So there's that going on, but Ochia Bestoon is also trying to take out Sly Moore at the same time because Ochia Bestoon is very loyal to Vader, and Ochi finds out that Sly Moore is trying to sabotage Vader. So he's not liking that very much. So that's probably the best thing about the Darth Vader series right now is Ochia Bestoon and how they're really fleshing out this character that we've seen very little of in The Rise of Skywalker. So that's definitely one of the bright sides of Darth Vader. But again, I just feel like right now the series is being a little bit hamstrung with what it can do because it has to play so closely to what's happening in the War of the Bounty Hunters event, and they can't really supersede the events that are happening currently. So again, next month is the end of the War of the Bounty Hunters, so I assume that Darth Vader will have the free reign to kind of go where it was, because I feel like the arc before the War of the Bounty Hunters was so good when Vader finds Exegol and he finds out this gigantic mountain of Kyber crystal, and it's because of that that he has to become subservient to the Emperor again because he wants to have that power, and only the Emperor can give that power to him. And that's why he sees Luke Skywalker as a threat to that power, and why rather than turn him to the dark side, he's already tried that, he wants to eliminate Luke Skywalker as a threat. So there you go. That's what's happening in Darth Vader, but that wasn't it with the Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunter tie-ins. We also have Boosh #1, which is a one-shot comic. And this is probably one of the best one-shot comics ever for Star Wars. I'm going to put it out there. And I'm not the only one who thinks that, because a lot of the people on Twitter were saying the same damn thing, and it's for a good reason. So Boosh #1 is the furthest we've ever seen into the backstory of Boosh, the bounty hunter that had the armor prior to Leia getting it to steal Han Solo from Jabba. So we get to find out who this Ubi's bounty hunter is. He's got this really kind of tragic story where he and a bunch of his buddies were basically excommunicated from their own people to the point where they couldn't ever come back to their planet. Something happened as far as the people are concerned, and I think we'll learn more about that in the future of some Star Wars comics. But we also get the backstory on Domina Tag of the Tag Corporation. She's the character from the Dr. Aphra series. So, long story short, we get this really cool action adventure story of Boosh trying to take out Domina Tag. Domina Tag kind of reversing the situation on Boosh, saying, "Hey, how much are they paying you?" And she's like, "I can pay you more, and I have connections to get you back to your planet that you thought you could never go back to. What do you think of that?" So now Boosh is going to give her the information for Crimson Dawn, who are the people that hired him to originally kill Domina Tag. So the tables kind of flip-flopped, and it was this really cool like kind of reveal at the end of there about them actually teaming up. So yeah, we got a lot more stories coming along with Boosh eventually, whether that's told in Crimson Reign, the next part of the War of the Bounty Hunter series, or if it's told in the Dr. Aphra series, or whatever it could be told in. I am down, and I cannot wait for this character of Boosh to get more storytelling. You have any thoughts on
Now,
Boosh?
yeah, well, I was going to ask before we get into Boosh, when is the Crimson Reign part or the next part coming?
That's coming in December. That's going to be
Okay.
coming out.
Huh. See, like a lot of this is so interesting to me. Like I haven't been reading the comics every week. Like I always check out your videos and like people's videos breaking them down and things like that. So I've been keeping up with them pretty roughly. My thing is, I really feel like, you know, even you pointing out the feeling of like certain things being hamstrung with Vader and all of these sorts of things. I think a lot of it has to do with tie-ins to the Book of Boba Fett. I really do, because, you know, Star Wars has had this pattern lately under like the Disney umbrella. You know, they almost sometimes can get hamstrung by the live action stuff because you know, they're worried about tying into that versus tying into the books, tying into everything. So it really makes me think more and more, you know, maybe that feeling is underlying feeling potentially is there for you for like Vader or certain characters because there's a potential tie into the Book of Boba Fett, like especially with the rumblings, like the flashbacks and things like that. Tamara Morrison even alluded to flashbacks being in the
Hmm.
series. So, you have things like that. It really makes me wonder if we're going to get some type of live action War of the Bounty Hunters type of content. Like, obviously, it would not be like direct scenes adapted to the show. I feel like it would just be more added on into the show. So, like, potentially, like when certain issues end, maybe they'll continue in live action via the Book of Boba Fett. There's a potential for that. Like, that's what I feel like where potentially some of those feelings could come from. But as for Boosh, it's really cool that the character is getting like fleshed out more because like you said, we really haven't seen him. I mean, I feel like the only other time other than this comic was I'm not sure if you ever got a chance to watch him, like the Destiny of Heroes
Yeah,
or whatever it was
Forces of
called.
Destiny.
Yeah, yep, Forces of Destiny. That's the only other time I can remember seeing that character like ever. So, you know, that's cool that we got that, and then now we have this actual storyline of the character, like the comic of the character. Like that's great in my opinion, because there was always like an air of mystery. Like, why did Leia have that, costume and
Yeah.
everything? Like, what's up with that? So, like, I really like the fact that they fleshed that out.
Yeah, I think originally it was explained in the awesome book Shadows of the Empire about
Yeah,
how she
yep,
got the armor originally. And going
yep,
back to like the very the timing on the whole thing with the books and then with the book of Boba Fett, the convenience of it all, because originally that Crimson Reign comic was slated for November. And then all of a sudden the
yep.
solicitations came out for December and they're like, wait, no, it's coming out in December now. It's like, what else is coming out in December? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, what are they doing here? They're trying to do a media a tie in there. Like, oh yeah, you watch the first episode, now go to your local comic shop and pick up the issue, which tells us that backstory that they mentioned in that quick line in the video, or
Now,
whatever.
my question to you as well, speaking of that, do we have an actual date for when that's coming out yet or no?
The book of Boba Fett.
No, no, the comic line.
Uh oh yeah, I think it's the first week of December.
See, that's what I'm thinking more and more is I think the Book of Boba Fett is going to be December. It'll be probably December 22nd, Wednesday, December 22nd. I think it'll be Christmas week because my reasoning behind that is just because what's a better way to kick off a Star Wars show for like marketing purposes? Like, people know people have days off around that time. Like, I feel like that's when the Book of Boba Fett will be. And like you said, it's convenient that comics like coming out early December like that. And I think, then we'll have that. It'll lead literally right into the Book of Boba Fett. Maybe, of course, Book of Boba is like in the future compared to this comic, but maybe this will kind of be like the catalyst was to Rogue One, but this will be like the catalyst to the flashbacks in the Book of Boba Fett show, per se, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely could be something worth
Yeah,
telling there, for sure, for sure.
yeah.
And finally, we're 30 minutes into the show and we're still talking about what came out this week because there's been some good stuff. We have the Monster of Temple Peak issue number 2. Remember, this was originally a High Republic graphic novel and they split it up into 4 issues. That one is going strong. It's about uh, the one Jedi, it's a saber for hire, York, and she's just going after this big spider creature because these people are scared of it and want her to deal with it. That's her specialty, is taking out non-intelligent type of creatures and stuff, non-sentient creatures. And she discovers this rabbit type alien creature that can turn invisible, this person, and that person wants to be a Jedi, so that person's annoying her, and she tells that person to get lost, and she regrets it because she's actually a nice person deep down underneath her very stark demeanor. And she goes to get the person, and it's like, okay, you got to stick with me because you're in a dangerous area. But the whole time they're talking about the past, and there's a reference to Jedi Fallen Order because she's thinking about like the time she was like delving into the dark side ruins with her one friend that was really looking at stuff he shouldn't have been looking at. So that's just continuing that backstory of like how she got expelled or how she left the Jedi Order. I think this is the book that's telling that in flashbacks as she goes through her current timeline journey. So there you have it. 4 different things of note that came out this week in Star Wars, or by the time you're listening to this on audio form, last week in Star Wars. We are going to get into the proper news, and we're going to start with something that's just a little bit disappointing for, I'm sure, a lot of fans, but it's to be expected. We were hoping for the best, but voice actor Tom Kane, that is famous for voicing Yoda, has officially retired from doing any kind of voice acting. As you guys might have remembered, he did suffer from a stroke a few months ago, and he's been trying really hard, but according to his daughter, he's not going to be able to do it anymore. So she put out a post on Facebook, giving everybody the address to send him any kind of mail because he reads the mail, and I'm going to try to remember to link that in the comment section down below for later on. But yeah, it's a bummer, man. Like this guy just loves the fans, and he's not going to be able to do what is his like lifeblood. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like that was, I don't know. When I first saw the news, not even like setting the retirement news for a second aside, like just seeing the news about him having a stroke, that was really, really saddening and disheartening because, whenever you see that, it's like, oh man, like hopefully they can recover at least to a somewhat overall good capacity. And then to hear that, like, he's, having to retire, it was just disappointing and saddening just because it's like, man, of course, selfishly, like us as Star Wars fans, it's like, man, we want him back as Yoda and this and that. But like, it just stinks for him, personally, of course, because it's like, man, that affects his life so much. I think he's only like 58 or 50. I don't think he's 60 yet. I think he's close, but, I don't think he's even 60. So like, just seeing that is kind of like disappointing because it's like, man, that would be horrible. Like, he still has another potentially like 30 years of life left. And it's like, that's, something like that will carry with him, the rest of his life. But it's on, on a bright side, at least he made a really good, he's made a really good impact on, the Star Wars fandom specifically. But then, of course, I'm sure he's helped out younger up and coming voice actors over the years. I'm sure with him being in the business for so long, like, I'm sure he's mentored people or, gave people advice. And he's probably inspired plenty of people to get into voice acting or, potentially getting into just television in general or movies in general, that sort of thing. So, I'm sure he's made plenty of impact on people's lives. So, there is like a bright side to all of this at least. And I feel like the important thing to just remember, like in this situation, like at least he didn't like pass away from it or anything like that. Like that's that's the biggest bright side of it at least, because a lot of people don't survive from those, or they're really really bad off. Like at least he, was able to survive and continue living with his family and friends and whoever he's closest with. So that's like a major major plus.
Yeah. So basically, one of the issues that he's dealing with is he knows how to, he knows what he's going to say in his brain, but the process to actually get it to the speech is a little bit slowed. So sometimes his speech will be very slurred a lot with what he's saying, which is, I
Yeah.
assume that's pretty common with a lot of stroke patients, or survivors and all. So, he's got a clear faculty. He just can't express himself. So, um, maybe down the line he will get better and better, and maybe one day we'll see him at a fan convention at Star Wars Celebration, and he'll be signing autographs and stuff like that, interacting, in person with the fans. Maybe that's at least a possibility. I'd like to see that actually happen. Um, but yeah, we're sending him all the best wishes that we can,
Yep.
to recover as quickly and as ably as he can. But like you said, he's still here, and you could send
Yep.
them you could send them your mail and your messages and all that. And like I said, I'm going to try to get that information to have in the comment section down below for you guys. You can find that on our YouTube video. All right. So getting into it further along here, We have some news that popped up out of nowhere. You sent me this article, Ben, about Larry Kasdan directing a 6-part documentary around George Lucas and ILM. How about that, huh?
Yeah, I was floored when I saw that news. Like, I don't know, it was totally out of left field just because, we really don't hear much from George as of late. I mean, the only thing as of late that really just came out about George was those Paul Duncan books that came out earlier in the year where he interviewed George for episodes 1 through 6 and, just his overall, basically his life of Star Wars, basically. Other than those books with Paul Duncan, like, he hasn't really been involved, or like there's nothing been out there really about George, really. And then other than his little like cameo on the Mandalorian behind the scenes thing with Grogu, other than that, we haven't really heard much about him. So it's really cool the fact that Kasdan is going to do a 6-part documentary on him and ILM. So it's, of course, we just assume George is going to be in it. So like that's going to be really cool seeing George talk about things, because I feel like one of the most overlooked things with George, it's always like, oh, he created Star Wars and this and that, the other thing. But I feel like his impact on Hollywood, I wouldn't rank George Lucas as like a top 5 director of all time or anything like that. He'd probably be in like the top 10 to 15 for me. But the thing is with him, he's a top 10, top 5, top 10 person impacting Hollywood and the entertainment industry of all time, because, his innovations with ILM, his genius innovations with product marketing. Like, there was really no movies doing product marketing like Star Wars did before Star Wars. Like, they were like pretty much the first one to really hammer the product market. And that's, what George made a lot of his money off of, was merchandising. That's why Spaceball spoofed it when they're like merchandising. Like, that's where that came from, because Star Wars got into merchandising everything. So like that was one of Lucas's big innovative things. And then, when I'm sure they're going to discuss it, especially with ILM being involved, the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, like that's like probably one of the biggest breakthroughs in Hollywood. Like, oh, yeah. the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, like they always say, like that first iconic scene where Sam Neill and all them are standing there and they look up and he takes off his sunglasses and looks at the dinosaurs. Like that scene, it's one of the most iconic movies in all of movie and television. And that all has to be, a big thanks to, of course, Spielberg, but a big thanks to George Lucas and ILM for developing technology to allow that type of a breakthrough to happen, to make that big of an impact. Because if those dinosaurs don't work for that movie doesn't work. Mm-mm. So, that you have ILM was involved, I believe, with the Terminator movies, with like the metal liquid, like the skin. I'm pretty sure I've heard James Cameron talk about like Lucas and them like being involved or helping out with something with like the CGI for that, or like advising on it. I've seen like different things with James Cameron talking about that. So like, you have things like that. You have, of course, the biggest one, like in Star Wars, in my opinion, like Star Wars Episode 1 should have won an Oscar for special effects for Jar Jar, really? Because, that was a huge that was a major breakthrough in Hollywood, like motion capture, Jar Jar, like the CGI, like all that stuff. That was huge. So like those type of things, it's going to be interesting hearing like Lucas discuss them. And also, in general, like not even just on all this like technical side of things, it's just going to be great seeing Lucas out in the public eye, because we don't see him. He doesn't really do interviews. He doesn't, you see random pictures of him in like Chicago or LA or places like that every now and then, but that's about it. He lives, I've seen other like YouTubers like in the know and things talk about, George Lucas, he pretty much lives a pretty like reclusive lifestyle, like just him and his family, and he does his like own things and he just keeps to himself basically. So it'll be cool seeing him, this could, who knows when the next time we're going to get to see Lucas. Like it could be, years before we see Lucas again, like doing anything. So like this, it's gonna just be really cool. I'm super excited for this documentary.
Yeah, that's the thing with Lucas, right? Is like I still laugh like crazy whenever I see this one YouTube video of this like guy just doing a vlog, and you just see Lucas in the background, and he just like ducks in and
Yep.
out of these people, looks awkwardly at the camera, and then just like ducks out of there real quick. You see things like that. But getting back to ILM, and that's one of my favorite parts about any Star Wars behind the scenes is when they talk about the special effects, which are always by ILM, and you couldn't put it better than I could have, Ben, as far as explaining the significance of ILM and why it's so important on the entire film industry, not just with Star Wars. If it wasn't for
Don't
Star
forget
Wars needing
Pixar.
ILM, yeah, that as well. That as well. So they are the pioneer for a lot of technical advancements in the film industry. So getting to see this guy actually pulling this off, one of the creators of Star Wars himself, is really neat because this guy already has a relationship. Yeah, obviously, Kasdan has a very good relationship, at least from my knowledge, with Lucas, with working on The Empire Strikes Back and working on Return of the Jedi, right? And
Yep.
working on Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I don't know if he wrote any more Indiana Jones than the first one, but so it's gonna be good because if anybody's gonna get Lucas out of retirement, it's gonna be him to at least like say a few words, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, look, I mean, right here, I'm reading an article right here about it. I mean, with how significant ILM is, like right here, James Cameron and his team developed the liquid metal special effect at ILM Labs when they were working on that movie. Like, so that iconic thing from Terminator 2 Judgment Day, like that came from ILM. Like, so you have things like that. Like, it's touched so many parts of Hollywood history. I bet you anything as well. There's gonna have to be a mention of Pixar in the documentary because Pixar came from there as well. Like,
Heck yeah. So I'm not sure when this is gonna be coming out, whenever it's even starting film, who knows? But be on the lookout for that and however the heck it's gonna be distributed. I mean, I don't know if it'll just be like a video on demand kind of thing or if it will eventually hit something. I don't even think it's Disney sanctioned, maybe. So I don't even know where it's going to be on. But hey, we'll try to keep up with it and let you guys know if we hear anything else about it. All right. So getting into some big stuff with The Mandalorian. The Emmys are, I think, next weekend or the weekend after. They're coming up, but they always put out, it seems like, the technical stuff that they don't want to, quote unquote, waste time on during the actual ceremonies. So they put this stuff out there like a couple weeks and but we're gonna take time to actually recognize Mandalorian. I don't want this to slip under the rug because this is pretty big news. They got 7 technical awards. I'm gonna read through each one of these and we'll talk about them one at a time here. They got outstanding special visual effects in a season or a movie. That's huge. They got outstanding sound mixing for a comedy or drama series 1 hour. That was chapter 13, The Jedi. Awesome. We also got outstanding cinematography for a single camera series half hour, chapter 15, The Believer. We have outstanding music composition for a series, original dramatic score, chapter 16, Rescue. Man, that music hit me really hard. Outstanding prosthetic makeup, chapter 13, The Jedi. So yes, they're talking about good old Ahsoka in that case. We got outstanding stunt coordinator, outstanding stunt performer. So bam, there you go. I mean, look at all those awards, and this is not even the full one, guys. The full amount, guys. This is just a few of them. They're gonna
does
probably get more later on.
does it say which episode was this outstanding stunt performer one?
Not on the list I am looking
Hmm.
out at
Okay.
currently.
Okay. I was looking at a list as well when you were reading, and it didn't mention it either because I'm interested specifically on that one, just because the stand-in for Pedro is John Wayne's grandson. So
It's also
it's
Latif,
yep,
or I think
it
Latif something.
yep, Latif something as well. So like it's interesting because like his character specifically had so much stunt work in the show. So it's cool that they're getting recognized, and that's one thing. as you mentioned, these are important awards. Like, too many people, I don't like that they deem them unimportant, because these are what makes the show we watch. Like, that's what that that's what the final product is. Like, you can't cut all this out. Like, if, to me, I look at it this way: if these are unimportant, then let's cut all this stuff out, but then we wouldn't have a show. So, I just think about it in that light. It's like, is it unimportant just because it's not exciting for TV? But really, how exciting are award shows to begin with?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thought on, like, I never liked that they cut out, like, even for the Oscars, like, they cut out a lot of technical awards, or they do them in between commercial breaks just because they don't want, to air them. But to me, it's like, that's, those people worked really hard on the things as well, and they're not going to get any publicity just because. My thing is, it's always good to recognize, like, the stunt people, the special effects people, the music people, because, like, even with the music for the Mandalorian, um, I'm always interested for that, or even like the animated shows, because it always feels like, even not even Star Wars, it always feels like a lot of times in Hollywood, music, it's like, oh, you got TV guys and then you got movie guys. Like, it feels like there's a divide between movie and TV. So it's just nice seeing, like, the people on the Mandalorian get recognized. Um, and I think I don't know, it's just great. Just it's great seeing, like, little people like that involved. But, and of course, just selfishly as Star Wars fans, it's great seeing our favorite show, like, get awards. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, one of these days it's gonna have to win outstanding drama or outstanding film. I mean, come on, there's so many of them. Eventually, the odds are gonna be in their favor with the amount of talent they're putting in on all the various
Yep.
season series, on all the various films. So they already have Emmy nominated and Oscar nominated, or winning in effect, to Taika Waititi, um, people of creative leadership control. So, but yeah, just going over this list once again here. Just picking out some of the best things here. I mean, like, special visual effects, right? Cinematography for a single camera series, half hour. That's the one with the big truck that's going through Mordif, or whatever the heck that place is, the jungle planet with the Rhydonium. So yeah, I mean, that was great, because they're tracking the camera across. They're seeing that it's like, that was a great scene. It was like Speed, seeing them
Yeah.
fighting on top of that transport, and the guys are flying off of it, and it's like, it looks like you're right there, right? But they're really on a soundstage somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, I love that episode specifically got recognized, just because I think the director of the episode, I believe it was Rick Famuyiwa, and he doesn't get enough recognition. I feel like the Star Wars fandom's always talking about Favreau and Filoni and
Yep.
whoever, but I feel like Rick Famuyiwa does not get enough recognition, because, like, if you listen to his interviews, how he talks about Star Wars, how he directs Star Wars, like, even his episode for Mando season 1, he took inspiration from Indiana Jones for that episode with the Jawas. Like, that was great. Um, and then, his episode, episode 7 of this season, like that was really, really cool how they did it. Like you said, the camera tracking and all that stuff. Like, of course, you have the people actually controlling the camera, but he has to be one of the people greenlighting those shots. Like, he's like directing the episodes. Like, he has to make sure those shots work. So, like, it's cool that episode's getting recognized, versus, like, just say, the first episode with Favreau, or like things like that. So it's cool that that's getting recognized. And again, like you said, the camera work in it was really good, like the tracking, in the canyons. I feel like also a big prop to the camera work for the episode would be in the scene where, what's his name? Bill Burr's character. I always forget it.
Oh, oh man, it's pop quiz, and I'm losing here.
Bill Burr. Well, anyways, when Bill Burr and the Mandalorian and the Imperial officer are talking, having the conversation about Operation Cinder and all that
Yep.
stuff, like just the camera work in that
Yeah.
scene alone, I think, is award worthy because like the way the camera cuts to like how nervous Pedro Pascal looks, cuts back to like Wilbur, cuts back to the Imperial officer, oh Mayfeld. It cuts back to the Imperial officer. You have just the way the camera cuts in that scene alone is really good. And then, as you said, the tracking in the canyons and things like that.
Oh yeah, and it's cool that they recognize the stunt coordinator, right? The stunt coordinator I know most is from the prequels, Nick Gillard. He did this
Yep.
awesome, the Duel of the Fates and the Obi-Wan and Anakin, and I don't know why they leave out some of these people's names because I would totally give him a shout out, of course, right now, but I can't find his name on the official Star Wars .com article, which is just a bummer. But I know that it was announced during when they actually had these through the Emmy Twitter account. Um, so you guys can find him through there. But yeah, all these people really awesome job. And again, this was nominated for, let me count them, 24 Emmy Awards it's nominated for. It's already won 7. So yeah, I mean, we still got things for like Best Supporting Actor, Best Outstanding Drama Series, all these different things like writing still are up for grabs, and that is happening this upcoming Sunday. So if you guys want to tune in, I'm actually excited for the Emmys this year, just for the fact the Mandalorian's nominated. I'm gonna be watching it as much as I can, probably. I at least have it on in the background, and oh, they announced the Mandalorian. Okay, just we'll see what happens. So everybody send good vibes through the universe, but really, it's just an award show. We know how awesome this show is. We don't need awards to validate our love of this series, and that's basically all I want to say when it comes to that. So getting into another trailer. That's right, guys. We have another Star Wars trailer breakdown this week. It wasn't enough to just have Terrifying Tales last week. Was that last week? The Terrifying Tales trailer?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think the week before that it could have been Visions.
Yep.
So here we go.
Yep. That's
Third
how it
week in a
was.
row.
Last week was Terrifying Tales, and the week before was Visions.
So you know what that means, right? Next week we're getting a Book of Boba Fett trailer. If we
I,
play our
I
cards
hope.
right.
I
Don't
hope.
guys, I don't know anybody on the inside. I wish I did, but I don't. But I do not know if we are getting one. I thought we might get one during the first Monday Night Football game, but then they put out a Hawkeye trailer instead. But maybe this upcoming Monday, maybe they'll let a week pass between the Hawkeye hype, and they're gonna say, "Let's drop the Book of Boba Fett series."
See, I think my prediction, what we were talking about in our group chat, I think I'm predicting it to be not this coming. It's not going to be before Visions. So like next week is Visions, and then I think I think the following Monday will be the Book of Boba Fett. Well, potentially be the Book of Boba Fett trailer on Monday Night Football, possibly. Like so, Visions will be out of the way, and there will be nothing else for Star Wars to really market. So it's like, hey, it's time to ramp it up, and just throwing in a little research. So like Mando season 1 was August 24th for the first trailer, and then Mando season 2 was September 18th. Well, Mando season 1 came out like at the end of October, so it's potentially 2 months before, about a month and a half, 2 months. And then that was the same way with Mando season 2. It came out at the end of November, and the trailer released end of September. So I feel like with the December talk of the show, potentially like 2 months before December, is anywhere between like the end of September ish. So either, as I said, potentially the following week or maybe the week after. If we get to October and there's no trailer, the clock's ticking. Like there'll be a trailer probably at any time.
Yeah, yeah. They've always put out big trailers in October for the movies, but obviously
Yeah.
this isn't a movie. But we've seen trailers for the series come out just as wide in front of the movies. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. I went off on a little bit of a tangent, which we do here occasionally. But right now we're gonna kind of just look at the trailer. I got it pulled up on my screen. I'm gonna just kind of pause it and play as we go through. But yeah, Star Wars Hunters. We had this revealed to us back in February, I believe, during a Nintendo Switch. So this thing came out of nowhere one day. last week, and here we have the Star Wars Hunters trailer. They're on some kind of desert planet. I know it does have a name now, but it basically sets up the characters that you'll be able to play as. We first seen a trailer as a dark side user, and she is interesting because she almost looks like the way she has markings on her face. She almost looks kind of like a Dathomirian Night Sister. But then we also have this Mandalorian character that is jumping into the fight with a jetpack, two pistols, just kind of like Jango Fett. And then she's calling out, and there's a Wookiee, and his name is Grog, and he's holding what appears to be two K2SO type of arms in his hands, and he uses them as weapons, apparently. And then you have a Imperial Stormtrooper. This is after the events of Return of the Jedi, well after the events of the defeat of the Empire, but there's still Imperial holdouts. So that character could be pretty interesting. So we're seeing these characters fighting in this very Geonosian arena-esque type of thing. And then you see a droid with a lightsaber pop out talking about using the light side. So that was very unexpected, very interesting. But what's even more unexpected is when two Jawas pop out of the darkness there, one standing on another's shoulders, and they say Utini, I'm pretty sure. And then you see a droideka roll out, and there's an Ugnaught. There's a freaking Ugnaught inside of the droideka. And then all these characters are just fighting. It looks like there's 4 and 4 on each side, so I assume it's going to be, the game itself is going to be 4v4. And that pretty much is it. They zoom out, and it's just like a lot of billboards, a lot of neon lights. You're just basically fighting in this. There looks like there's multiple arenas from what I'm seeing. There's about 3 different arenas. So yeah, I mean, my initial thoughts are they did a really good job with the trailer. Whether or not I'm actually going to play the game, we don't really see too much about the game itself. This is all CGI, although last week we were talking about some leaked screenshots, which would give us a good idea of like how the game actually looks. But then I went on the website Star Wars or swhunters.com, and they have a couple more. They have some more information here, and they actually have some really nice high definition images of all these characters. So, for instance, the Mandalorian's name is Aran Tal, and this is the Mandalorian. Stalwart is here to call out the wicked and serve up fiery justice. Then you have the Wookiee. His name is Graz, and I love how the character titles and the names themselves all have like their own personality of the actual characters they're representing. Like the Graz looks like it'd be a Wookiee font type of thing. Wookiee warrior with a penchant for disarming droids and his opponents. You got Utini, of course, the Jawa scrappers with an arsenal of hidden firepower. Then you have J3DI. See what I did there? Or see what they did there? Jedi. One of a kind droid programmed to believe that the Force is with him. So that's going to be quite a character. Then you have Reeve, and she is a shrewd dark side warrior here to sow wickedness throughout the arena. You also have this bounty hunter character named Amara Vex, always looking for the bounty. Always on a hunt. Vex never loses. Very cool character design, by the way. She has looks like a shoulder-mounted like rocket launcher or mortar launcher. Her weapon has a lot of bright, vibrant colors. This is probably my favorite character. It's called Slingshot. Flashy, adrenaline, junkie, joyrider, Slingshot, revels in roadkill. And this is the guy that's inside of a droideka. Oh man, this thing looks fantastic. Then you have Sentinel, a remnant of the Empire, unwilling to accept defeat. And he's got like a big ass cannon, just like my character from the Old Republic. He looks like, just a big ass auto cannon. Got a very messed up helmet with like a line going down the center. Very cool stuff there. And then we have another character named Zena, a veteran of the Rebel Alliance and hero of the New Republic. So there you go. And she's really cool. She's got cybernetic legs. And she's got same kind of gear as like Han Solo, like a cool vest and a cool DL-44 variant of a blaster. And there was a Rodian character that was also in some of the leaked stuff. So it looks like there's going to be a total of, at the time that we know, 10 characters you could choose from. And it looks like you're going to be 4v4. And again, this will be on mobile and Nintendo Switch. So yeah, my takeaway is, man, the characters look like they have a lot of personality. More than I thought. And it reminds me of like an Apex Legends vibe, where like they really did a great job in Apex Legends of making the characters colorful, giving them a lot of personality. But like, so this could be like a different kind of Apex Legends without the battle royale, more of like an Overwatch. You know, definitely gives me an Overwatch vibe. But again, the characters, and I'm expecting, you know, in the books that I read in the future to have some of these characters pop up here and there as they always do in these kind of Star Wars games. But Ben, you got a chance to check out the trailer, maybe some of the characters. What do you have to say about Star Wars Hunters, our best look at it yet?
Yeah, I was watching the trailer as well when you were. I think it looks really interesting. It, see, it's hard to say it looks really fun just because that was the cinematic trailer versus the actual gameplay. So the concept of it, like a battle royale type thing, it gives me flashbacks to the old Star Wars game Jedi Power Battles where you could like battle it out
Oh,
in the arena. Like it kind of reminds me of that. So hopefully we get something along those lines where it's just hey, just all out battle each other. The interesting thing is, it also gave me kind of made me think of like Super Smash Brothers, type of a setup where you have 4-on-4 or 3-on-3, and or free for all potentially. And the main Super Smash Brothers feel came from like seeing multiple Jawas and then seeing like the Ugnaught with the Droideka, like that kind of reminds me of like on Smash Brothers, some of the characters where you can have like uh, tons of them appear, like things like that. Like it had that kind of a vibe to it, and I thought it was just a really good initial trailer overall to like get people hyped about it. It's good that it's on mobile and Nintendo Switch. Like you said, who knows how much we'll play it, how long it'll potentially last. Hopefully, it lasts for quite a while
yeah, I could tell.
because
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I was just gonna say I hopefully it lasts for quite a while just because Star Wars needs a game. Look, I mean, I literally was just saying it last week on
mm-hmm.
the show about Star Wars needs a Fortnite type of game, and hopefully Hunters can develop. Like, sure, it's not on console like Xbox or PS5, but at least it's on mobile. And hopefully this turns into potentially like your Pokemon Go or your whatever. Like, hopefully it turns into a popular thing. So Star Wars has their flagship game. So like instead of seeing Pokemon Go trending, we see Star Wars Hunters trending or something.
Yeah, I am picking up with my thinking right now. My thinking pattern right now has me thinking to this game that EA released a couple months ago called Knockout City. I didn't expect this game to do as well as it did, but it got hyped up to the point where like everybody loves it. And it's very simple. It's a very cartoony in the same style Star Wars Hunters, a dodgeball game, but like dodgeball on steroids. So like you run around, you could intercept people's balls, you could jump on these jump pads and jump up high and catch the ball, and you have different power ups and different things like that.
Yep.
But it's in like an arena type of environment, right? And they have all you can customize your character and all that. So like, there's definitely room to be had, I would say, for like new games up and coming to get mind share of the mobile gaming. Of course, that was for the consoles. That game, Knockout City. But I mean, hey, if this is on mobile, it's more of a reach. They're gonna have more. Everybody's got a cell phone. They could try it out. If they get successful enough, maybe they'll bring it over to platforms like consoles, and then they could have cross play with PC and all that kind of thing. Maybe this is just their testing ground, but I think there could be if they actually get the balance. Now that's the main thing. Like for games like this, they have to have a really good balance. If you have characters that are just blowing away everybody, like compared to other characters, it's not going to go down well. Like they have to have really good balance, and it's going to be very interesting to have that balance because you have different variants of varying degrees of characters, right? Like there's characters that are Wookiees that are very melee. Dark side use a very melee. You have the Jedi droid, very melee heavy. But then you have a lot of characters that are going to be using blasters, jetpacks, like so. There's a lot going on with the rock paper scissors shoot kind of aspect of okay,
Yep.
you got this guy that has this play style, this guy that has this play style. So I'm just very curious to see like how they're going to balance everything with that many kind of game styles.
Oh, for sure. I feel like, as you said, it's almost like a rock, paper, scissors circle. Like, you're going to have some characters be able to potentially, I liken it to like Pokemon's always an easy example, but you have like in Pokemon, like the round and round circle of like fire affects grass types affects water types affect rock types. Like I feel like you have like a round and round circle of things like in Pokemon, and I feel like it's going to be something like that where you're going to have a round and round circle of like this character is weak against this or strong against this. Like for example, like the Jawas, I feel like are probably going to be strong against the droids and potentially like the Mandalorian, like the people who are using mechanical devices, but then maybe the Jawas are weak against like of course like the Force users. So like, you'll have potential things there. And then, maybe the Mandalorian's strong against the Force users because, they've fought against Jedi before. Like things like that. So like I think you're gonna have characters affecting characters. It'll be like a round robin of things, of sorts of characters. It's just, like I said, just a never ending circle of like impacts.
Yeah, and I mean, Lucasfilm is really putting a lot into this game. Zynga's putting a lot into this game. It could have been so easy to just put in Han Solo, Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Bosk, Luke Skywalker as like the heroes, right? As the archetype heroes. They could have just put them all in there. Go ahead, have fun, fight. But no, they actually put not just archetype characters, but interesting characters. Like for instance, like you have a droid Deka with an Ugnaught piloting. You have Jawas that are standing on top of one another to fight. You have a freaking droid that uses a lightsaber thinking he's a Jedi. You have like a fallen Imperial soldier that's still fighting on after the events of Return of the Jedi. You have, the New Republic soldier that is an amputee. And I feel like for a lot of players, people, currently in our warfare and stuff like that, that are amputees, seeing a Star Wars character like that, being able to be like, hey, that's like me out there, so they are
Yeah.
actually going above and beyond what I expected them to do with something like this, for sure.
Oh, same here. Like I'm really excited. Side note, I do think we do need a Star Wars. Like, sure, this game is coming out, but man, I would love like a Super Smash Brothers Star Wars game with like all, the old Smash Brothers would have like 30 some characters. Like, just throw in all the Star Wars characters, have different maps, and have at it. Like, just side by side, like going back and forth, like Smash Brothers. Like, I would love something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I would love for Nintendo develop like a Super Star Wars Smash Brothers or something. Um, but in terms of this game, like you said, it is cool to see its different reach or potential reach. Like like you said, an amputee it can reach females, it can reach people who like Jedi, people who like the Mandalorian, because the like the Mandalorian being in this trailer. Like, of course, they're going to show all their characters, but of course you have to put the Mandalorian in this trailer just because of the show, like the hype around the show
Mm-hmm.
itself. Like, of course this isn't Din, but when you get really casual people, they'll see the trailer and go, oh, that's the guy from the show, let me play
Yeah,
that
you're
game.
right.
Like that's what people are going to do. I'm telling, like, if I show my grandma that trailer, she'll go, oh, the Mandalorian's in this game. I'd be like, yeah. um but you have people, you have casual fans, or if someone's scrolling through the app store, they'll see a preview for it and they'll see the picture of the Mandalorian character and be like, oh, it's a Star Wars game, like off that show or something. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's the way they're going to really suck people into it. Or like they see a Wookiee, like Wookiee, Mandalorian, and lightsabers, like those three things like are their big, I feel like, marketing points for the
Mm-hmm.
show, just to all of us Star Wars fans will check it out, but like to get the casual people in to really help push a game like this, or any game really, like Madden. I always use Madden as an example. Madden, I play a game mode on there called Madden Ultimate Team. It's, you build your team, whatever, play people online.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like the minority. That's like the minority. That's like the football fandom, but the overarching fandom of people who play Madden are just people who are like, oh, let's get a football game and play football against my brother or cousin or whoever. Like, it's just the casual fans. And like the casual fans are what's going to make up, the push for this app and potentially the push for future Star Wars apps and games in general.
Yeah. if this and again if this game hits and it
Yep.
gets people on board, I could see it sticking around for a long time, especially if there's microtransactions. I could see them like, oh, there's different skins. Like they could easily just implement skins and people would spend money on it. You could also include new characters along the way. Like I could see them expanding like every 3 4 months throwing in a new character, like have seasons, right? Like all these other battle royales in different games, like every season.
Holiday specials or things like that.
Yeah, yeah, right. Like I would like to see them throw in like a Doug, like Sabalba. Throw him in
Yep.
there with like a vibro sword. Throw in some kind of like creature riding character, like having like what is it called from the Mandalorian? There's like big lizard creatures with the
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
forget what they're called, something with a B. Um, but anyway,
Blurgs.
like
Oh, blurgs.
blurgs. There we go. Having a Twi'lek in there, or like a Twi'lek riding a blurg or something like that. Like they can come up with such cool, inventive like ways that are kind of like way off the beaten path for ideas
Oh,
and throw
here's
them in the
one.
game.
Salacious Crumb riding a bantha.
Oh my gosh.
That would be my character if that was in the game.
But yeah, so really cool stuff. I think that this game is gonna have a lot of variety for people to try out different characters. I'm very curious to know about this Reeve character, the fact that there's a dark Jedi in the time after Return of the Jedi. Like I kind of hope we get like lore dumps on these characters and like give us like a page backstory on each of them to just kind of give us, all right, why are they actually at the arena? So cool stuff there. Getting into the next story here, we had a High Republic show. Now they've revealed the covers for Wave 3 of Phase 1. But the biggest notable thing in this was a fan literally got the opportunity to build a full-on model of the Starlight Beacon. So why I'm putting this out specifically is a lot of the times when a company would go through that great length to build something as intricate as this guy built with different LEDs, different ships that the story group literally told them to put in there specifically, I think there's a really good chance the High Republic, at least some version of it, might be adapted into on screen because they use models for lighting purposes to like figure out, okay, if they're going to use this as a setting a lot, they want to figure out like shadows and different things like that, reflections and whatnot off the surface. So there you go. I mean, what do you have to say about that as far as, is this just a fun project that this guy just did to have for 5 minutes in this 20-minute episode, or do you think there might be a little bit something more that Lucasfilm has planned with this medium that's only been in the book so far?
Yeah, I think there's a possibility, but I think we're a ways out from it just yet, just because like I think there's a possibility because of course it was highlighted, but also you have the Acolyte coming out. Like I think if there's anything potentially connected to the High Republic that is going to be on screen, it'll be after the Acolyte hits, in my opinion. Just because I think the Acolyte, like the High Republic, is like developing kind of like the lore, if you say, right now. And like the Acolyte, I feel like is going to be the first crack at it on screen. And if it hits, then, boom, like there you go. Or like, heck, what if, here's something to throw out there to you, Chris. What if this is just like, they use this as like a almost tester thing, because like maybe there'll be like a flashback in the Acolyte to High Republic things, like maybe it'll tie in directly to that show, because we don't have a timetable of when that show's coming out just yet.
Mm-mm.
So maybe this is just in like is going to eventually tie into like the early stages of the Acolyte, and maybe we'll just get something related to that on screen with the Acolyte. Maybe a character will be talking about this, that, and the other thing. We see that it'll connect in that regard. So like I think there's a chance of that happening, but then also, there's a chance we get a potential series, like, because after the Bad Batch ends, we have the Bad Batch this coming year, and then I believe it's this coming year. Um, but I mean, we're all pretty much presuming it, but
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
Bad
yeah. It's
Batch.
coming out 2022. They said season 2.
Oh, did it? Okay, okay. I was just making sure I
Yep.
was right. Okay, okay. So we have Bad Batch 2022, and I really, unless they, I don't, we don't. It's a podcast for another day. But unless they really ramp up season 2, I do not think there's going to be a season 3 of that show. So my thing is, what animated show are they going to be having aired? Like Visions, presumably is this season. It could end up being 2 seasons, but even at that, what if we get a second season of Visions next year? What are they going to do in 2023, 2024? Like maybe after we get like through like the Mandoverse, through all the stuff that's between episodes 1 through 9, like maybe by 2024 ish or so, 2024, 2025, maybe we'll be getting a High Republic type of show. Who knows? Maybe it'll
Ooh.
be live action. But I think if we get an animated show, there's potential we could get that in 2023.
So you talk about animated now. Before the High Republic even came out, there was a couple of reports saying that there was an animated series in development. So
Yep.
I
That's what I was
feel,
thinking about.
yeah, I feel like that could happen, but I don't know how it intertwine with the authors because you could have a point there. Because if we're going based off of how far along phase 1 is, basically phase 1 is going to end about a year after it started. So, 3 years from 2021, so we got 2021, 2022 will be phase 3. 2023, it's presumed that the books will end at that point for that current story. So maybe that's when they could like let the writers either write on the TV show or they could like give the reins to a showrunner and be like, "Hey, here's all of the ideas that you should follow now that the books are done and take it over
Yep.
from there." So, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure. I like the flashback idea because I don't know if the Starlight Beacon's gonna actually survive the
Hmm.
next book from the ominous title called The Fallen Star. I feel like that's a kind of a
Yeah,
hint at what could
that
happen with
doesn't
the
that
thing.
doesn't sound too positive.
That could sound like the Nile are gonna destroy that freaking thing, and then yeah. So there you have it. That's what we learned from the High Republic. One final story before we get to our major story, almost an hour and a half into the show. Yeah, there's been a lot of news to talk about, guys. A lot. We got a bunch of Lego shorts that came out just in time to get us ready for Terrifying Tales over on the Star Wars Kids YouTube channel. And they are freaking hilarious. I don't know about you. They're really charming, but they're also really well done. They're like, a minute and a half in length. Like I think there's one with Boba Fett and Mando and Fennec Shan, and they're just decorating the Slave One, and they're trying different ideas with making it look like a mummy, using their jetpacks, flying around toilet paper, or making it look like a ghost. And it's really funny because they're all trying back and forth, and Fennec Shan is just standing there. And at the end, she's like, "Give me a try." She just like jumps in, and there's no vocals, there's no voices, by the way. It's all just like head nodding, a classic Lego. She comes back, and there's like stormtrooper heads all over it, and then Mando and Boba Fett just like cower in fear, like holding on to each other, shaking. That was freaking hilarious. You have a lot of them are Mando based. Actually, I think almost all of them are. I think there's one Bad Batch one. The stuff with Baby Yoda is just so freaking hilarious. Like the one where he's like eating the candy because Mando's so busy fighting Moff Gideon on the light cruiser, and he's going trick or treating before he met him, and he just leaves Grogu with the pumpkin thing of the candy, and Grogu is just eating. So by the time he's finished fighting, he finds Grogu Mando, and Grogu's got all like the candy all over his face, and he's just like bloated, and he's just like going, "Oh my god!" I'm watching it as we speak, of course, and it's just so charming, so funny. The other one that makes me laugh is another one aboard the light cruiser, and they're just like running around the hallway. It's like Moff Gideon and everybody, and next thing you know, like they're running for their lives, and it turns out that they're running from this 2 foot tall cloaked figure that's slamming the stormtroopers around with the force. It's just like Grogu is the freaking best.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed those little shorts, and it got me even more excited for the upcoming Terrifying Tales special. Just because Star Wars has a charming nature about it. Like, we have to look at it from the angles. Like, we can't compare this to The Empire Strikes Back. You don't go into it with thinking that. Like, my thing with this, you just got to enjoy things for what they are. Like, it really made me excited for the Terrifying Tales, of course. And then, as you said, I love the ones with them decorating the ship. Like, that was great. And then, of course, seeing Grogu in it, like even in Lego form, Grogu's always like cute, like the things he's doing. Like, I really was surprised at how much I liked this. I love pretty much everything Star Wars, but it was pretty cool just seeing this play out. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. Like, I mean, it's more to me at the end of the day when it comes to this or anything else Star Wars, like, at least we're getting more Star Wars content, Like, that's my
Seriously.
take on it. Like to me, like, they could release a little short once a week like this, and I'd be happy with it because at least it's more content. Like, more content, the better, in my opinion. If you can make it little like charming bits like this, even if they want to just do like a little 5-minute episode like this, like just once a week, like, and I'm sure it doesn't cost them too much to do it because they probably have all these character models and things all saved,
Mm-hmm.
so like it's not like they're building it from scratch. So yeah, it just was really happy. I was really happy with it, and I do like that they didn't speak. That's always been one of my kind of critiques of the newer Lego games is I'm not a huge fan of the characters talking just because I don't know, like, it's just me being an old nostalgia person, I guess, for the old Lego games. But I really like them just kind of just going about their business, like communicating through all of their body languages and actions and things. I thought that was really cool. And again, it's just charming little short.
Yeah, they are really cool. They remind me of the Star Wars Rebel shorts that came out before the series got going, and it gave us a look at Ezra, gave us a look at Kanan and Hera, at Sabine. I think maybe one of them had Zeb. I'm not sure, but yeah, like those ones were great. They just like showed us the characters very quick, like minute to 2 minute. So same thing here, and yeah, very excited for Terrifying Tales. And we are getting to the main event of the evening, of the episode in this case. And we are going to talk about Star Wars Visions. It was like almost every day last week, they just hit us with a new article. They are promoting the heck out of this, as they should, because this is not your normal Star Wars release. So they have the right to really shove a lot of this in our faces right now to get us even more hyped. So we got articles on StarWars.com talking about the heroes, talking about the villains, talking about the droids, and yeah, you guessed it, talking about the vehicles. So we're gonna go through each of these articles, just kind of point out some cool facts here, and try to get you guys hyped up because in just a few days, especially after listening to this on Monday, for those of you listeners, you'll be able to watch it on Wednesday. So not too much longer. This is your primer for Star Wars Vision. So here we go. For heroes, we have Kara from the Ninth Jedi. So she is the main character of this specific short. She's going to be, let's see, she is the daughter of a legendary lightsaber smith. So very interesting about the Kyber crystals and how she's going to be transporting them. So you got that character there. Then you also have the main character in the twins. Their name is Kari. So this is the one that is also growing up in the dark side. I think this is like after the events of the Rise of Skywalker, but again, it's not part of the current canon. But I think that's kind of what the creator was thinking. It was basically the archetype of Luke and Leia as if they went evil. So that's always a very interesting concept. They have like a Star Destroyer that is like joined together with a big blaster, which we'll talk about. Then you have Dan. He is from The Elder short. And this one really feels like a lot of the prequels here because the way his design is, he almost looks like Bel Zettifar from the High Republic with kind of like the dreadlocks there. It's pretty cool. master and Padawan relationship is going very strong throughout this here. So that looks really cool. And you also have the character named F from the Village Bride. So you have lots of different characters here. Some of these guys are Jedi. Some of them are maybe eventually going to be Jedi. So we see a little bit of a theme here. So did any of these specific characters stand out to you, Ben?
Um, I feel like for me, I'm looking at the article right now again just to look at the pictures for review. I'm interested to see how like the characters. It gave me a real, I, I guess, a real anime vibe, but it isn't anime. Um, but it did. It gave me a real traditional anime vibe, which is a good thing. Just because growing up, I had good experiences with different animes, whether it be like Dragon Ball or Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon, or a couple of years ago, I watched Attack on Titan. Like different animes have been pretty good over the years here and there, like when I've watched them. And this just has that anime vibe. But I'm interested just to see, it could be just how they ordered the article, but I wonder if Kara or Kara, however you say her name, is going to be like, I wonder if that episode is going to be like potentially really significant or really highlighted just because of the order the article is put in. So that's interesting. Because normally like articles want to like hit you heavy with like the big meat and potatoes right off the bat. So it makes me wonder if Kara is going to be like a really significant figure for Visions. I thought Kara was interesting. I thought the character of Dan was interesting, just because it's such a unique, or not a unique, such a simple name for Star Wars. Like Dan. I'm thinking like Dan out of all. I, I don't think there's any Dan in the Star Wars galaxy up to this point. So I don't know, that was a really unique name to me, but he stuck out to me. And then I just think it looks really interesting. Um, I just can't wait to see how it plays out. Like I said, the characters really have that almost traditional anime feel to me, which I appreciate just because, I know you'd said before you hadn't really watched animes or like different things in the past, but like for me, actually being someone who's watched them before, like I can appreciate the look of the characters themselves.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, so there are your heroes. Moving on to the villains here. So we have the Elder, who's featured in, you guessed it, the Elder. We also have, I see sometimes, is this Am or is it Arn? The way sometimes an R is next to the N. I think that's Am
I think
from the
that's
twins.
I think that's Am, yeah.
Okay, Am from the twins, brother of Kari. You also have Masago from Akakiri. Pretty cool. And you have Sith Bandit Leader from the Duel. So the one that stands out to me is the Sith Bandit Leader from the Duel because, first off, Ronan wasn't characterized as a hero from the previous issue or article we mentioned, so that's interesting. But like the design of this character's hair itself is just so epic. Like just looking at it, this Bandit Leader. I don't really want to know a whole lot about this because it's the one that's going to be put into a book as well that I'll be reading in October. But it's
Yeah.
saying that the storyline is reminiscent to Seven Samurai, which is a classic Akira Kurosawa film, right?
Yep. Classic Kurosawa film, and then that's what George Lucas got a lot of his inspiration from. So that's really cool seeing that they are getting inspiration from that.
Mm-hmm. It looks like she has references or affiliations to Darth Maul. They used him as an influence for her, so there you go. Maybe we'll see her with a double-bladed lightsaber. Who knows?
Yep.
You also have the Inquisitor from TOB1. So yeah, that name is got a lot of significance about it in the canon of Star Wars. So we're gonna see. It looks like they have an interesting sort of TIE fighter or something behind them in this specific screenshot here. But TOB1 is the story about the droid. Uh, so this person has experience with things like Steven Universe, Kill La Kill, Samurai Champloo. Um, I only know one of them, Steven Universe. So
Yeah.
yeah, Inquisitors in Star Wars have a lot of history. A lot of history. They even mentioned Inquisitors even in the Rogue Squadron book, which came out in 1996. So that's been a long running fascination with a lot of the fans, a lot of the creators, is having Inquisitors to hunt down certain people, and they are dark side users. So, and you know, they're going back to the twins character called Am. Pretty interesting. They have a special dark armor suit. Um, she's the one in the trailer that's like screaming like a mad person and absorbing some kind of kyber energy. So, oh yeah, it looks like she's got an armor suit that, when combined with a special kyber crystal, gives her unique saber wielding powers. Interesting. It's an incredible spectacle to behold, according to one of the creators.
Yeah, see that gives me real like Dragon Ball Z vibes of like
Yeah,
when they go like Super Saiyan and all that stuff. Like that literally is what I instantly think of when I even just am looking at these and like hearing you describe it. Like that's instantly what I think about when you bring up her power, basically powering up, and then like me, I think the Inquisitor looks interesting just because the Inquisitor, like you said, it's been having a major history in Star Wars. I wonder if like the title is like a subliminary message to like talking about the Kenobi series TOB1. um, like I mean, a little subconscious Freudian slip by them. Um, but yeah, I think the Inquisitor looks interesting. Um, and then the let me scroll back on the article to make sure the names. Yeah, the Am like that, like I said, she looks interesting. That actually like her character gives me a real almost One Piece vibe. If anybody's ever seen One Piece, the show, like that gives me a real One Piece vibe. Just the character design. Um, yeah, I'm super excited for this show. Like just looking at these different pictures, scrolling back and forth through this article, like they all are so unique and stand out because you can definitely tell there's a different visual style between like Am and then the Inquisitor picture, or the Sith
hmm,
Bandit and then the Inquisitor picture. Like you can definitely tell there's different visual styles to these different creators. So
yeah,
it's gonna just be interesting just to see how they're executed and played out.
for sure. So now we're gonna get into the droids. Droids are always a big factor when it comes to Star Wars. So it's awesome that even though this project or these projects are maybe so far flung from what we're used to Star Wars, at least they're still grounded in the things that make Star Wars, well, Star Wars. And of course, you got to have droids if you're Star Wars. Every book I've read, every comic I've read has some kind of droids, every video game, whatever. They always got to have droids. So, of course, TOB1 is going to be that droid centric story. So, you have one there that is trying to be a Jedi Knight. He dreams a droid being of a Jedi Knight. Hey, that sounds familiar. We just talked about a droid wanting to be a Jedi about 30 minutes ago. So looks like that is a big thing, theme going in Star Wars right now. So that's interesting. Then you have K344 from Tatooine Rhapsody. So this is that kind of rock opera type show here. And apparently K344 is a guitarist of the band and plays a phenomenal dual neck guitar. She was once a bandit but found her purpose in rock and roll. So that sounds pretty cool. That
Oh
sounds
yeah,
pretty cool.
that's interesting just because looking at it right now, that's interesting because you know, like when it comes to Star Wars, it's always like the galactic implications, like whatever it may be, whether it be the Mando or the movies or the comics or whatever, or the video games, like it's always galactic implications. Just the fact that we're getting like, you know, Star Wars music, like artists as in music, like that's pretty cool, I think. Like, because, if you think about it, the only music we've really heard in Star Wars in universe was the Cantina Band, was Jabba's singer in his palace, and then the little bits and pieces we heard in the sequel trilogy. Um, and I mean, I don't even know if there was really much of the prequels like in universe. So, you have like it's cool that they're like going in that direction because my thing with Star Wars is, we don't always have to have the galactic implications being the main story. So it'll just be cool, like the Tatooine like Rhapsody thing, like that'll be really cool. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, so a lot of times, like I'll be reading or experiencing Star Wars, and I'm like, well, does this have any bearing on the galaxy? Sometimes I'm like, damn it, I wish the story did. But other times I'm like, it's good for
Hmm.
them to actually just stay back and be like, hey, let's all tell a short story that doesn't really affect much. And sometimes those stories are even more impactful from the bigger ones in my eyes because it's just like, hey, what is it like to be a musician in the Star Wars galaxy? And I think those books, from a certain point of view, do a great job at telling those very insignificant but meaningful stories in the larger scope of Star Wars universe with like all the background characters of, hey, what was that Tauntaun trainer doing, or who was that person on the computer in the back of Echo Base, those sort of things. Who was that guy sitting at the bar in the Mos Eisley Cantina, right? Chapman's Cantina. You got all those little guys. They all have their own stories. They all go about their lives, and they ended up in that location at that certain time. So those are really just like cool stories where like you could really start to see like how big Star Wars is when you start getting those sorts of stories there. So really cool stuff
Oh
when
yeah.
it comes to them. But then we also have B20N and our duo from the twins. So they have a screenshot of here. It looks like it's Kari with almost like an R2D2 astromech esque looking droid, very very reminiscent of Star Wars. I feel like out of all the anime shorts, I feel like the twins is going to be the most like, I wouldn't say faithful to Star Wars, but feel like it's the most like story we've kind of heard but told from a different way, as far as like having twins like almost like Luke and Leia, you know what I mean? And having
Yeah.
like droids that almost look like R2, and I don't know if there's one that looks like C3PO, but I'm looking at one that definitely looks like R2. But yeah, so that's pretty cool there. Then we have Lop and Ocho TD4. Yeah, Lop, not my favorite character in Star Wars. I'm hoping that Lop pulls it off, but yeah, I don't know. Um, I'm giving so much heat for this character, and I have no reason to. I just think it's funny. Um, but I continue to see if I'm gonna get won over by the bunny person. But I digress. So TD4 takes the recording functionality we saw originally with RTD2 and A New Hope to a new level by independently capturing the important moments of Lop's journey from surviving as an orphan on planet Tau to becoming part of a family. I see the feature almost as like what we'd envision of our own lives as a diary or a blog, and it plays a key role in this episode. It's okay, so you got this little recording droid just going around, giving that out. Oh, and you also have the steward droid from the Ninth Jedi, and this is that droid I believe that has maybe it isn't. There is that droid that has all the lightsabers that's attached. That looks like an umbrella, or there's a gadget rather that does that. So this is like a person that's watching over a Jedi temple from what it looks like. So, hey, we'll see if they are going to be friendly or if they're going to be a little bit of a problem for the heroes that are in this episode.
Oh yeah. I think it's going to be really cool just seeing how they all interact because you got to think about it this way as well. Like we're looking at these three articles, like this one, and then the other two we discussed, in separate pieces, but they're all going to be connecting into the actual stories we're going to be seeing on screen. So, it'll be interesting to see how like the heroes interact with the villains, how the droids interact with the heroes and villains, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that'll be I think that'll be interesting just to see how they all connect like a puzzle almost. Just yeah, just like their connections, like how they're going to connect, how they're going to interact. If any of the, I'm sure some of the characters will die because in anime, characters die. So it's going to be interesting just to see how all of this like fits into place into their individual episodes.
Heck yeah. So we got our last article here. Yeah, like I said, they were very gracious and giving when it came to giving us these details. We never gotten details like this for any Star Wars project ahead of time, right? Like they're always so tight-lipped. They're always so you'll never see anything but the trailer. We'll never even discuss the trailer. But here we are, finally at the last article for vehicles, and they keep giving us a spoiler warning again on this show. We're not going to go really into the details of what it is these things are actually going to function in the episode, but these have all been, or at least most of these have been shown off in the trailer anyway. So we have the twin Star Destroyer from the twins. So that's really cool. It's got like some kind of like Death Star looking weapon where it's connected. Both of these Imperial Star Destroyers just with a big ass gun in the middle. So that's very anime esque. Something I thought was really cool for Star Wars though is the boat, as it's called, from Akakiri. This looks like a traditional boat you would see in any kind of Asian foreign film. So I'm interested to see how Akakari plays. I think Akakari is that sort of, I believe this is the romance kind of story from what I believe, or it's the more lower key one. If
Yeah.
at least it looked like it from the video. Something they did say they paid homage to Hidden Fortress. It was this look was grounded in that. Um, Now this is the one that just like gave me a shock. If you were watching the video from a few seconds ago, I kind of did one of those shocking moments because I didn't really get a chance to read a lot of these articles ahead of time. But F's ship in the Village Bride is apparently a Z95 headhunter. Like, wait,
Oh,
what?
really? Hmm.
Yeah, and
That's
I've been
interesting.
like wanting to freaking see one of these in like any kind of Star Wars thing, and I'd at least expected to see one in Star Wars Missions of all places. But apparently, in the Village Bride, the character's name is F that we mentioned earlier. They have a Z95.
Huh, that's interesting. I
Yeah.
see the more and more we talk about this stuff, it's just going to be, I don't know, I can't wait to see how it all plays out. Like,
No, I want to read this. Now, although visions exist outside the typical constraints of lore continuity, and no era is strongly defined in the anthology tales, this short specifically deals with the remnants after Order 66 ends the Clone Wars. So traditional X-Wings were off the table. But thanks to Matt Martin's suggestion, another starfighter that first appeared in Legends and was a forerunner to the X-Wing was able to take its place. Like, yes! I don't care. Like I freaking love this shit because it was in like all the expanding universe stuff, with like the Thrawn trilogy and all. And it's like, oh
yep.
man, we finally get this shit back in the forefront of Star Wars again.
Oh yeah, no, I'm excited about like like this ship, for example, but also the potential for more things, like as you said earlier, like the twins being kind of like the evil Luke and Leia after nine, like different things like that. Like, I like the fact that a series like this can basically pick anything they want, whether it be Legends, canon, wrote down on a notebook from George Lucas from 30 years ago or whatever. Like, they can do whatever they want. So it's so cool, that they can do that and have the creative freedom just to make whatever they want and pull from whatever they want. And it's neat because with that flexibility, depending on whatever age demographic these people, these all of these creators are in, we could see things getting pulled from Legends, we could see things getting pulled from canon, from video games, from whatever. So it's going to be just, I don't know, it's going to be really cool to see how it impacts this show, but also specifically, like if there's a Vision season two, like will it impact that? Like, will we be getting more? I mean, of course, it'll be like Legend or like Legends or non-canon or whatever you would like to call it. Like, the cool part about that is that'll open up the possibilities for more, like more and more creativity, like down the road.
Yeah, for sure. So the next one we have is the troop transport tank from the duel.
Yep.
Definitely gives me vibes of the troop transport you see from the original Hasbro, or not Hasbro, Kenner toy line, a troop transport that was later seen in The Mandalorian. So you see these. Yeah, this is the one that's in black and white or monochrome colors, and you got these like different kind of stormtroopers. One of them looks like a first order stormtrooper in there. They're all ready to disembark, but they're basically saying like this thing is basically a fortress, and you will hear it coming down on you because this thing is massive, and it's basically saying the vehicle was built to conquer. So I'm excited to see. I think out of all the short stories, the Duel and the Ninth Jedi are the ones I'm most looking forward to because like as somebody that gets put off by some of the more comedic stuff when it comes to anime, I feel like those are going to be like way more serious, way more like grounded, way more epic. Not saying the other ones are going to be like not up my alley. I might be won over by them, but I'm looking at the Rolling Gales ship from Tatooine Rhapsody, and you got a bunch of wacky characters on there. I'm like, okay, these guys, they're having fun on a road trip, but we don't actually see the outside of the ship, so I can't really talk too much um, about that, but they're basically saying like this is like some kind of like garage band and whatnot, and it's a unique expression of the galaxy's answer to up and coming musicians piling into a van for a tour. So that's what you can kind of expect from that, like a little van going around the galaxy or something.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be. I feel like that for sure is gonna be the shortest episode of the series. I think,
Yeah.
um, just because I don't see it lasting 22 minutes. I would be stunned. But then again, I'm pretty sure Tamara Morrison is credited for that. Like Boba's supposed to
Oh,
be
he
in that
is.
episode, I believe. Yeah, so that's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, gosh, is Boba gonna be part of join the band? Um,
Oh my
like,
gosh. Can you
like I just thought
imagine?
about that. Like maybe that's what Boba's been doing while like because there's no timeline for this. So what if this is set after Return of the Jedi and Boba's been the last 5 years up to Mando he's been in the band and stuff.
Oh my gosh. Like, because he in the behind the scenes stuff, you see him sing with the guitar. Like he actually can sing and stuff. I could
Yeah,
totally see him doing like a quick little thing real quick,
yeah. I mean, what about? I mean that could definitely be a possibility that because why else would Tamara Morrison be credited for it? Or is he gonna have? Are they gonna just say one line with Boba Fett? Like I doubt that. Um,
Yeah.
like I think it's going to be something comedic. And as you said, maybe I mean, hey, maybe the behind the scenes Mando thing inspired the creators of this to have Tamara Morrison be, after they saw Tamara Morrison playing the guitar and stuff, maybe they're like, hey, let's have him be a part of this show.
Yeah, because they could have gotten, either Daniel Logan or they could have gotten, um, yeah, they could have gotten the other guy, that does the voices of the clones, D.
Yeah.
Bradley Baker. They could have
Yep.
gotten him to do the voice or something. But going for the top talent, it's like okay, that has to there's something up their sleeve. Like if he was in a regular episode, I've been like really weird. Like if it didn't have anything to do with music, but now that we know it has something to do with music, it's like yeah, that's gotta be it. But so before we leave off on the discussion for Visions now. How are you? I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. How do you choose to watch this? Are you going to first off watch it in the English or in Japanese?
I would say I'm going to watch it at first in English just to get more of the context of the story so then I can kind of more absorb what's going on while watching the Japanese version. Like that's how I would prefer. Like, because normally for me, I don't watch a lot of things like animes with subtitles and things like that. Um, but so I'm gonna watch the English version first, like I said, just to get the context of things, and then watch the Japanese version. But with that being said, I do think the Japanese version of like the poster itself looks better than the English version just because it's more like anime, like it's just more traditional in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So definitely what I would do for sure. I think I'm gonna yeah I am definitely gonna watch it in English first, but I will definitely go back and watch the dub in or however they say it. See, I don't watch this stuff. I don't know the correct
I don't
terminology.
I don't know what dub or sub, like I don't know which is which. Like I don't know.
And yeah, so I can't wait to just binge the heck out of all these. I inadvertently took a vacation day the day it comes out, not realizing like, oh crap, that was perfect timing. So I literally can just wake up and just start at episode 1 or short number 1 and just go all through 9. So what we're gonna do here on Outer Rim Transmission, being that there's a lot of Star Wars content coming out on top of each other, rather than just have all the episodes reviewed in one episode of our podcast, I feel like that would be too long. So we're gonna split it up into 2 episodes. So next week's episode we'll be talking about shorts 1 through 5. So you guys will have time to everybody watch and listen. We'll have plenty of time to hopefully be able to watch those at least by the time it's recorded in audio form by that following Monday. And then the next Friday, even though Terrifying Tales will be out, we're going to give you guys more time to watch that. And we're going to talk about episodes, I guess it'll be 6 through 9 of Visions. And then the following Friday, we'll be talking about Terrifying Tales. So, yeah, I thought it was kind of weird. Like, after I looked at it, I'm like, why would Lucasfilm literally release, like, Visions and a week after, like, a big special? Like, you guys couldn't space it out a little bit, especially considering, like, October 1st, like you guys could have pushed the Halloween thing a little bit further in, but I mean, I'm complaining about too much Star Wars, which is,
Well,
it's getting too bad when I do that.
well, I think part of that has to do with what we talked about earlier. They got to get these things out of the way, not to disparage or discredit these, like to discredit Visions or the Terrifying Tales. But I think that has to do with the Book of Boba Fett. I actually, now that I say that, maybe the Book of Boba Fett trailer will be the Monday after Terrifying Tales, whatever date that is. I think there's a potential that's when the Book of Boba Fett trailer comes.
Okay, so we are looking at.
So yeah, pull up the calendar and we'll figure out.
We are looking at Monday the 4th.
Yep, that's what I'm
October.
thinking. I'm thinking Monday, October 4th, because as we said, Star Wars has a history of releasing about exactly 8 to 10 weeks before the show comes out. So if you backtrack that from October 4th, that puts you in a range of either December 4th all the way to like December like 18th, 19th or so. So like or December 22nd, as I mentioned earlier, maybe December 22nd. So like it falls right in line. I think October 4th is the date we're shooting for the Book of Boba trailer.
And in a perfect world where COVID would have been gone, hopefully by now, or if it never existed, it would have been a nice thing to bring to, let's say, a convention that's happening in New York later on that week. They could have been set up with 5,000 fans in the theater at Madison Square Garden, people having their lightsabers, raising their hands in the air, going, "Let's have Boba Fett,"
Yep.
But I don't think that is gonna happen this year. So maybe at Celebration, I'm hoping Celebration we're gonna have that normal Star Wars vibe. Hopefully by then everything is more secure. But that is gonna do it for me and Ben, everybody. That was episode number 25 of Outer Rim Transmission. So once again, everybody listening, you can go ahead and watch us live every Friday at around 9 o'clock Eastern. For those of you that are watching either live or after the fact, you can always listen to us on your favorite podcast streaming service, whether it be Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher, and more. Go ahead and do subscribe and leave us comments and feedback on any of our sites. You can also email us to outerrimtransmission@gmail.com and tweet at us using the hashtag outerrimtransmission for all your questions that you have. We will eventually, when news slows down a little bit, have some chance to answer your guys' feedback, and we could have maybe some Q&As every once in a while towards the end of the episodes. So, do you have anything to promote this week other than some Madden and some NFL hot news, man?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RealBenMaynard, and pretty much you can find me talking. I talk about football Thursday through Mondays, basically, and I sprinkle in, whatever Star Wars rumors come out or speculation comes out, pretty much all the other days and pretty much every day, really. I mean, I was just talking about some Star Wars speculation earlier today and then yesterday about some characters from Kenobi. So like, you can find talk like that and all kinds of other things just at Real Ben Maynard.
Heck yeah. And so currently on the YouTube channel over the last few days, I did a few uploads. I have some High Republic stuff. I have the High Republic recap for the September short story in a Star Wars Insider magazine. And I also have the recap of the 3 Star Wars High Republic comics that came out for the month of September. Plus, I have more of a specific rundown of those comics I was talking about earlier with War of the Bounty Hunters, Boosh, and Darth Vader. And I have a video about Star Wars Legion that I put up for the first time in a long time. And it looks like a lot of people really liked it. So that might be a look into the future of maybe I'll jump back into one of my favorite pastime hobbies besides, playing video games and all. So you guys can maybe look forward to that if you are miniature gamers. So for Ben, so for Milton, who couldn't join us this week, but he will definitely be back next week. That is going to do it for Outer Rim transmission number 25. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you soon. End transmission.